Merci beaucoup.
Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the jury. The time is indicated on the timer as a countdown. I will indicate the time remaining with posters. If you don't not end your presentation after 20 minutes, it will be stopped to move on the period of question. A period of question of a maximum duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind each judge that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. Please note that you cannot reveal the name of or the source of your university as you may be disqualified. I would like to ask the public to turn off the ringing of your cell phones. I will now invite the judge to introduce themselves.
Catherine Baudry, professor at University of Quebec.
Chantal Lamotte, HRBP at Groupe Jean Coutu.
Michel Turner, Senior Director of Organizational Development and Talent Management.
Eric Côté, Vice President, Central Procurement at Metro.
Bonjour, merci de nous avoir accueillis ici aujourd'hui. Donc, la présentation se déroulera en anglais, mais bien sûr, si vous vous sentez plus à l'aise à nous poser des questions en français à la fin, n'hésitez pas.
So, family. It's one of the most important things in our lives. Our brothers and sisters, our moms and dads. Parallel to my own family, I have a second family, as most of us do, at work. Your coworker, it's like your brothers and sisters. Your bosses, it's like your mom and dad. They always tell you what to do. And over here at Metro, you guys are merging two families together. So welcome. My name is Katarina. This is Lena and Odile, and we're here as your HR team today to advise you about the merging of two families. Today on the agenda, we'll be talking about the mandate, our analysis, our environmental analysis, as well as the gap analysis, the problem, our solution, and our implementation.
Let's jump right into the mandate, which is the reason why we're here today. We've broken down your mandate into two objectives in terms of your organizational objectives, and to be more specific, your human resources objectives. In terms of your organizational objectives, we see that you want to implement a global merger and continue to try and be the best performing retailer in Canada. You're doing well so far, and we want to ensure that we at Metro stay the best. In terms of your human resources objectives, we want to ensure a smooth employee integration process in order to maintain employee satisfaction and productivity. Employees at Metro right now are very satisfied. We have a great HR team, as I can attest to because I work with them. And we're very proud with what we're doing, and we want to make sure that we remain the best. These are some of the broad facets of human resources that we can go into, but in terms of our case at Metro, with our merger with Jean Coutu, we're going to be focusing on these three human resources facets. The first one is recruitment, selection, and employee integration to make sure that the employees are integrated well with the culture, the Jean Coutu employees with the Metro culture, as well as the Metro employees with the Jean Coutu culture. The second one is organizational structure and processes to make sure that these two different structures and processes are integrated into one complete unified one. And the last one is motivation, commitment, and engagement to make sure that our employees keep being committed and engaged to our company.
So now let's move on to the analysis. And let's bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. So the first thing we want to address is that currently your employees aren't very informed regarding the consolidation process. So we want to make sure to mitigate that gap and ensure that the information is readily available to them and transparent throughout this process so that they feel like they're participating in this process and are informed throughout. The second thing we want to address is that the two cultures within those two companies are very, very different. And that's great because it's worked amazingly for those two organizations, but since we are becoming a family and coming together, we want to make sure that that culture is unified. So one thing we want to do is integrate a universal culture that all employees feel a part of that will ensure the stability and the consolidation as a success. And finally, the projected consolidation is not official yet. We're still going through that process. So like we've mentioned before, we want it to be a transparent merger. So now let's move on to the environmental analysis. So let's focus on what works amazingly within our organization. One thing that we want to do is that centralizing the HR department is one of the best assets that we currently have. It improves proximity and improves efficiency within the organization. So that's one thing we want to maintain and keep going. The second thing we've noticed is that we have a great relationship between employees and senior management. That's something that's very rare, so we should be proud of that, and we should keep maintaining that relationship throughout this consolidation process. And finally, we differentiate ourselves from other organizations because we have distinct benefits that really cater to the workforce that we have. So we want to make sure that our employees are still satisfied with those benefits and that retention remains the same given those distinct things that we offer. So of course, we do have great things, but we still need to work on a few things in order to improve this consolidation process. So one thing we've mentioned before is obviously the gap between the projected consolidation process and the official installation of this merger that we have. So since there is a time gap, people are still unsure, people still don't really understand what's going on. So we want to make sure that that process runs smoothly by ensuring that all of our employees are aware of the changes that are happening and are informed when the consolidation process is official. Finally, the distinct company cultures, like I mentioned before, is also an issue that we need to work on. So since we are going through the consolidation process, we can't really merge as one until it's official. So since we are distinct and still competing, we still want to have this kind of familiar relationship with Jean Coutu while still continuing the processes that we're currently having. And finally, employees are currently not informed regarding the consolidation, so of course remain transparent, ensure that the information is readily available throughout the process. Finally, now let's focus on the external aspects of what we need to work on. So since we are merging with Jean Coutu, we are penetrating a new sector, which is health and more of lifestyle. So that means that there's an increase in competition. So that's more competitors that we have to differentiate ourselves from and make sure that we stand out. So that's something that we need to take into account. The second thing is that the Competition Bureau still hasn't approved our consolidation process, so things can change at any time, and we need to be aware of that. And finally, the 3 different unions that are representing all of our employees, we need to keep our employees satisfied in order to ensure that those unions don't become problematic in the future. And finally, since we are merging and becoming bigger, there are more opportunities out there for our organizations, and we need to take those into account. One thing is the new technologies that we can adopt. Jean Coutu is known for its innovation culture and the app that they have incorporated within their pharmacy. We can adopt that and include that within our organization so that it facilitates the consolidation and makes us more innovation as a global organization. Finally, we have 2 strong client bases. Metro has a loyal client base, and so does Jean Coutu. So we need to use that to our advantage and make sure that those two distinct client bases both become loyal to our global organization. And finally, we have a new branding opportunity after the merger. Since I mentioned before, we are penetrating a new sector, we need to ensure that that is included in our branding.
Thank you, Lena, for that amazing summary. Now let's talk about the main problem. You're going to be going through a lengthy consolidation process, and this will create a divide between Metro and Jean Coutu. That divide currently exists right now. Because of this divide, there's also uncertainty among employees about will they be fired, where will they be working, will they be still under Metro or will they be under Jean Coutu? Because of this main problem, we've divided it into 3 satellite problems. The first one is a divide in the company culture. Metro and Jean Coutu have two very similar but different company cultures. So we need to when we merge, we need to ensure that the company cultures align and work together. The second problem is the uncertainty among employees, and your employees are our employees are our biggest asset. So we need to make sure that we keep them well informed throughout the entire process. There's also going to be different technologies and processes, with Jean Coutu having their own app, so we can integrate that app into current Metro. Using these 3 main problems, we came up with 3 key performance indicators to make sure that the strategy we implement will be successful. The first one is to make sure that we maintain employee satisfaction through reviews. That will be through customer satisfaction reviews, as well as employee satisfaction reviews, our 2 key stakeholders. Our second key performance indicator is making sure that when our employees go through our strategy, we're going to talk about a quiz that they will have to go through. And through this quiz, we want to make sure that the employees receive a score of at least 80%. And for our third key performance indicator, we want a 10% increased level of productivity amongst our employees after the consolidation.
So now on to our solution. Of course, merging two families, it can be a bit uncertain, it can be a bit scary, but we think we have the perfect solution for you to make sure that this works really well. So we want to develop and implement a global shift management plan that will facilitate employee integration. It'll reduce uncertainty amongst the employees and reduce the amount of questions that are being asked. And we wanted to create a unified and better organizational culture. So our three satellite solutions are to create an integrated CRM system to merge our clients after the consolidation, a corporate sustainability initiative, and an interactive information session to address organizational culture and how the change will impact employees' day-to-day lives. So let's go on with the first solution that we have, which is the CRM system. Firstly, we'll create a global Metro app, and that will incorporate all the services that are offered at Metro and Jean Coutu and all the other subsidiaries. And this will be offered after the consolidation for clients. So we're going to take both clients, merge them together as you both have a strong client base. And we'll also be developing training sessions for Metro employees regarding the new technology. This will be done online for employees so they can take it whenever they're on their shift, and it'll be an interactive session with a quiz as well. The second satellite solution we have is pretty fun, and it'll bring out the creative side in all your employees. And it'll be a No More Plastic initiative. So each store will submit in a design that they've created for reusable bags. So this will be submitted to head office, and head office can look through all the designs and pick out the top 10 competitors that they think have the best designs on reusable bags. Then we'll open this up to the public using the Global Metro app, and the public will be able to vote on their favorite design, and that design will be put on the reusable bags and will be distributed into all Metro stores and all Jean Coutu stores, which will be a nice sustainability initiative and hopefully reduce plastic bags. This will be a team-based initiative, and we will be implementing this during the month of sustainability, which is February. The third satellite solution we have is an interactive session to address organizational culture. So again, this will be another online information session. It's lower in cost, and it's easier for every employee to go through that. And additional supporting information will be readily available online for any employees who have more questions.
Okay, now let's move on to the implementation. So when you go shopping, you always browse, put in your shopping cart, and check out. So the first part, which is the browsing period, is going to be a 3-month period before the official consolidation. So that's going to be the first step within all of our solutions. The second step is obviously putting in your shopping cart. That's a 0 to 6 months after the consolidation period. And finally, checking out at 6 to 18 months after the consolidation.
Let's browse with the integrated client relationship management system. In the first, before the consolidation process, we'll first be designing and promoting this Global Metro app. This Global Metro app will have Jean Coutu after they become consolidated as part of Metro. It'll also have other Metro the store, as well as Food Basics and any other stores that Metro Incorporated owns. We'll then be designing and promoting it within the store. We'll then be establishing our meeting with marketing team so that we can help promote the store, as well as with our IT team and our senior executives from both organizations to make sure that all the information that is pertinent is in this application. In our shopping cart phase, we'll be testing the application with our employees, as well as implementing a satisfaction survey and then adapting that app based on the feedback we receive. We'll then be creating a training session for our employees on how they can use the app in the back end, so that say when we have our customers that are ordering pharmaceuticals through the app, our employees know how to best serve them. In our checkout phase, we'll be promoting and launching our Metro app to our customers so that they're able to use this app. And then also conducting another customer satisfaction survey online to ensure that our customers, who are the people who are using this app, that they feel that they're best served and that their needs are met through this application.
All right, and the second solution that we have is the reusable bag initiative. So this will be fairly easy to implement. The first phase, we'll reach out to the HR team in each division, at Metro and at Jean Coutu, and they will promote the initiative to the employees through posters and anything in, that we'll put up in the employee room. After that, each store will submit a design, so hopefully there's some artists in all the stores, and the head office will choose the top 10 candidates, top 10 candidate stores, and the public will vote on the best design. After that, the winning design will be rolled out to every store in Metro and Jean Coutu, and clients will have an opportunity to buy a reusable bag instead of using a plastic one that day, and all the profits will be donated to national parks. So this will hopefully maintain employee satisfaction, and it'll be a fun initiative to show off their creative side.
And finally, our third solution, our third implementation, is the interactive information session addressing the organizational structure and culture after the consolidation. So in the first phase, we want to make sure that we design an information session to inform the employees about the whole process in order to ensure that all information is readily available and transparent. This information session will be designed by François Coutu, which is a major person that is included and participating in this change that is happening with the consolidation, as well as the HR team, so that every employee feels comfortable to ask questions, address concerns, and of course be readily able to learn all the information about the changes. The second phase will be designing that online information session for employees that are part-time or may not have access to that in-person information session. So this will be developed also by François Coutu and the HR team. And finally, at the end, we want to make sure that we implement an employee satisfaction survey so that all employees have the ability to anonymously test out and give us feedback about this information session that we've implemented.
Okay, let's talk about everyone's favorite part, the money. How much is this going to cost you? First of all, for creating that Metro app, we went off the basis that a developer costs about $300 per hour. We're hiring 3 developers, and it's going to be a project over about 16 weeks long. So we came up with a total cost of $800,000. That's including the cost of the developers as well as promoting the application. The reusable bag initiative is very low cost, and it's going to actually create profit, and that profit we'll be donating it. The cost for it is for the promotion of the reusable bag of our initiative. For the interactive information session, we know you already have a platform that you use for women's training as well as for other aspects. So we can use that training and adapt it. And with a cost of $60,000, we can use this platform and deliver the interactive training session. And finally, we're going to have a contingency cost of about $50,000 because we know something unexpected always pops up. So we would rather be safe than sorry. This comes to a total cost of $920,000.
So now that we've gone over everything and our solutions regarding the integrated CRM system, the corporate sustainability initiative, and the interactive information session that we'll be developing online, we want to make sure that Jean Coutu, as a family, feels welcome towards us. We know that there are 2 very different organizational cultures, and we hope that when they merge together, they'll feel happy, they'll feel loved by Metro, and we want to make sure that they're greeted just like brothers and sisters. So make sure to invest in your people, and that will definitely make a return in an investment into your future. Thank you.
The presentation has come to the end. The question period will begin. I would like to remind the jury that at least one question must be asked, and that question period will be not longer than 5 minutes.
So on your implementation parts, we have the growth phase, the shopping cart, and the checkout. Which one is the most important on your plan? Which phase is more important?
Well, we believe that the first phase is the most important because this will be before the merger, and that will set the course of action for everything that's coming up after. So we want to make sure that you're prepared, you're not going into this blind, and once the preparation is there, you know that you have a solid plan to go through the about 18 months that come after the merger, where everything's a bit shifted, a bit uncertain, and if you go in with a plan, we will make sure that we'll come out with a good result.
You said in your focus area, you said that you have decided not to focus on the salary and compensation part of it. Why?
We have decided not to focus on that because we believe at Metro and Jean Couture, they have very similar compensation strategies right now. So when we merge, that would not be one of the main aspects that we'd be concentrating on. It is very important, of course. We want to make sure our employees are paid on time and paid the right amount. But we believe for our strategy at this moment, it's not something we need to focus on at the moment.
Sometimes you said that you will penetrate a new sector of activities, talking about Metro. Are you aware that Metro was already involved in pharmaceutical environment by Brunet and other pharmacies in Ontario?
Yeah, we were aware of that. We just mean that they'll have a bigger client base after merging with Jean Coutu because obviously they are more well known for their pharmaceutical products and their health and lifestyle products. So we are aware that we had that originally, but we want to say that Jean Coutu is more of an opportunity to progress and own a bigger market share in that sector.
How are you going to manage employee from McMahon Distribution Center?
So how are we going to manage them?
Yes.
Well, those are the employees that are actually going to be working with the Jean Coutu employees. We want to incorporate the app system that they currently have at Jean Coutu, so they would be working together. So managing them would be incorporating them in training sessions, making sure that they're informed about the consideration changes, and also know how to use the apps and the new technologies we would be incorporating.
So as you said, we've got 3 unions. And you did mention that it could be a problem. So what's your strategy to make sure they're aligned with your strategies?
So right now, our biggest strategy is transparency. We want to go into this fully transparent and ensure that everyone is aware of what's happening. With the 3 unions, it does pose a problem, but if we start working with the unions before the consolidation happens, we can come to terms on agreements. As every union has different rules and different benefits offered to employees, we want to ensure that it's all fully integrated, and we would like to eventually switch over to 1 union. But for now, we want to work with all 3 unions and ensure that everyone is okay with the merger and that it's all going to work out.
And what kind of problems do you anticipate because you're with the unions?
One of the biggest problems that we anticipate is the distribution center for Jean Coutu that will eventually be let go. And we think this is going to be a big problem because it's a big sector. And our mitigation in that is, this will obviously be a very sensitive topic to address. Though if we can address this before we undergo these operations with the unions, we will ensure that we work together and we work collaboratively and for them to see our point as well.
You have an indicator that is an increase of 10% of productivity. Do you have actions that are specifically dedicated to improve the productivities in the distribution centers, I imagine?
We believe that ensuring that the consolidation process runs smoothly is what will make sure that our productivity increases, because when employees are satisfied, when they're happy with the changes, when they feel valued and they feel like they are loyal to our organization, productivity increases. So that's what we meant by that. We want to make sure that it remains the same, but obviously by acquiring new employees, by merging with a big organization like Jean Coutu, we hope that our productivity increases.
and to add on to Lena, we know that Jean Couture has access to very high-end technology. So by using this technology and implementing it in the distribution center, this automatically increases productivity, because we're going to make sure that the employees that use this technology are well trained, and well-trained employees using greater technology will, in the end, increase productivity.
Thank you. The question period is now over. Please mark your hand of your case presentation cooperation. I would like to remind everyone that we are on a science floor out of respect for the other case being presented